Chapter 05, Navigating the Federal Grant Submission Portals. In this chapter, getting familiar with GrantsGov, applying for federal grants, checking out other grant portals, perusing standard federal grant application forms. Established in 2002, GrantsGov is the federal government's e-government initiative operating under the governance of the Office of Management and Budget. It provides a centralized location for grant seekers to find and apply for federal funding opportunities. Through it you can find information on the more than 1,000 grant programs available through the federal grant-making agencies. In this chapter, I take you on a guided tour of the GrantsGov homepage and give you some pointers on getting your organization registered to apply for federal grants and cooperative agreements. I also lead you through those confusing grant application forms and the downloading and uploading processes for the entire grant application lot. GrantsGov has ongoing maintenance days that may coincide with the day you plan to submit your grant application. Monitor all alerts for maintenance starting 10 days prior to your application's submission deadline. When you're ready to submit your application, follow the online directions, and don't procrastinate until the last minute to upload your application. You'll breeze through the once stormy waters of federally grant applications. Navigating the GrantsGov website. The GrantsGov homepage at www.grants.gov is your gateway to everything you need to know to find federal grants, apply for federal grants, and follow up on submitted federal grant applications. The page looks simple on first glance, but in reality it can be a bit confusing. So even though the information in this section may seem somewhat repetitive after you actually visit the GrantsGov website, I still want to take you on a guided tour. Here's a breakdown of each key topic area tab on GrantsGov and what you can expect to find when you click them. Home. On this tab, you find a link to download the GrantsGov mobile application for searching and submitting on the go. Other clickable icons include Search Grants, Get Started, Grant Policies, Grant-Making Agencies, Prevent Scams, Community Blog, Twitter Feed, YouTube Videos, User Guide, and Support Center. Note, GrantsGov changes its homepage icon lineup frequently, so you may have to search for these links or icons. Learn Grants. On this tab, you find the Grants Learning Center where you see links for Grants 101, Grant Policies, Grant Eligibility, Grant Terms, Grant Agencies, Grant Systems, Grant Programs, Grant Careers, Grant Reporting, Grant Fraud, and Grant Events. Search Grants. This tab takes you to a new GrantsGov webpage where you can not only view snippets of current grant funding opportunities but also type in basic search criteria, keyword, opportunity number, or the Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance, CFDA, number, now housed at https://sam.gov/content/home in their homepage directory under Assistance Listings. You can also search grant funding opportunities that are forecasted, might not have reached posted status, posted, currently available to apply for, closed, no longer accepting grant applications, and archived, very old grant funding announcements. The other search boxes are for the type of grant, by eligible applicant, by category, and by funding agency. Applicants. On this tab, there are 8 categories of information: check your eligibility, get registered, apply for grants, track your application, Adobe compatibility, applicant training, applicant facts, and manage subscriptions. Grantors. This tab and its links allow staff at the federal grant-making agencies to register and post opportunities on GrantsGov, access training materials to assist the agencies in navigating GrantsGov, find facts, and get help. System to system. This tab provides applicants and agencies with the information necessary to link GrantsGov functionality with existing systems within their own organizations. Forms. Here you can access a variety of federal forms, including government-wide and agency-specific forms, currently used for creating grant application packages at GrantsGov. For information about federal grant application forms, head to the related section later in this chapter. Connect. On this tab, you can manage your GrantsGov subscriptions, join the system's social media pages, get help with the GrantsGov mobile application, and peruse the GrantsGov newsletter archive. Support. This tab takes you to applicant support, grantor support, find help and learn about the program, GrantsGov notices and releases, and feedback. Understanding grant applicant eligibility. Many types of organizations are eligible to apply for government funding opportunities. Typically, most grant applicant organizations fall into the following categories: government organizations, state, territory, local, city or township, special districts, and Native American tribes, federally and non-federally recognized. Education organizations, independent school districts, public and state-controlled institutions of higher education, and private institutions of higher education. Public housing organizations, public housing authorities, Native American housing authorities. Non-profit organizations with or without 501(c)(3) status. For-profit organizations, any for-profit group other than small businesses. Small businesses, the U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, has established size standards for small businesses. Check out the standards at Grants.gov or the SBA's website, www.sba.gov. For details on SBA grants, see Chapter 7. Individuals can submit grant applications on their own behalf, and not on behalf of a company, organization, institution, or government. If you're registered as an individual, you're allowed to apply only to funding opportunities that are open to individuals. Foreign applicants, the authorizing legislation for each grant-making program determines if foreign applicants can apply for funding. Before applying, foreign applicants should thoroughly review the IRS website, www.irs.gov, and search for their most recent guidance for aliens and international taxpayers. Registering on Grants.gov to apply for a grant, you and/or your organization have to register on Grants.gov. This registration process can take 3 to 5 business days, or as long as 2 weeks if you don't complete all the steps in a timely manner. The following sections explain how to register as an organization, which is most common, and as an individual. Registering as an organization. An organization registration is for an individual who is responsible for submitting a grant on behalf of a company, state, local, or tribal government, academic or research institution, non-profit, or any other institution. In order to get your organization registered to submit grant applications on the Grants.gov system, you need to follow these steps. Obtain a DUNS number. DUNS stands for Data Universal Number System. A DUNS number is a common tracking number for doing business with the government, federal, state, and local. All DUNS numbers are provided by Dun & Bradstreet. Call 866-705-5711, or access the Dun & Bradstreet website at http://fedgov.dnb.com/webform. Refer to Chapter 3 for more on the DUNS number. Before you apply for a DUNS number, ask your grant administrator or CFO whether your organization already has one. You can also search online for an existing DUNS number at fedgov.dnb.com webform. CC a search do. Select your country or territory from the pull-down menu, click Continue, then choose Continue to Government Update to start your search to register with the System for Award Management, SAM, at www.sam.gov. Grants.gov uses SAM.gov to establish roles and IDs for electronic grant applicants. SAM registration is not completed on the Grants.gov website. Once the SAM registration is complete, you need to return to Grants.gov to continue your registration process. If your organization already has an Employer Identification Number, EIN, your SAM registration will take 7 to 10 business days to process. If you're just applying for your EIN, you can get an EIN immediately by applying online at www.ice.gov/businesses/small-business-employed/apply-for-EIN-employer-identification-number-open-IN-online. The information requested at SAM.gov is similar to what your organization submits in its annual IRS tax return, such as name of organization, address, contact person, and contact person's information. You also have to upload the organization's banking information, the bank's tracking number and the organization's bank account number, to facilitate electronic banking between the government and your organization. You didn't think they still sent the check in the mail, did you? 3. Create a username and password with the Grants.gov credential provider. You can create your own username and set a password on the Grants.gov and SAM.gov websites. After you complete all your SAM.gov information, You get directed back to GrantsGov to complete your registration with the access point information. This is a same-day process. On SamGov, you'll find some new terms, namely MPIN and TPIN. An MPIN, or Marketing Partner ID number, is a personal code consisting of 9 characters. It's mandatory if you want to use SamGov. TPIN stands for Trading Partner Identification Number. It's a confidential number assigned to organizations that currently are or intend to become federal contractors. Check out this online user guide for how to register with SamGov, www.grants.gov/help/html/help/register/register with sam.htm for obtain AOA authorization. If you're not the e-business point of contact, eBiz POC, at your organization, have that person log into GrantsGov to confirm you as an authorized organization representative, AOA. Only an AOA can log on and conduct business or grant-related transactions with the federal government. Your organization may have more than one AOA, or the AOA and eBiz POC may be one and the same. An AOA can log in using the username and password obtained in Step 3 to track their AOA status and see whether they have been approved by the eBiz POC. Logging in as an applicant is instantaneous, but you have to wait to become an AOA until your organization's eBiz POC logs in and approves you as an AOA. Watch your email from SamGov and GrantsGov. GrantsGov variations for individual applicants. By adding an individual applicant profile, you become able to apply for grants as a specific person and not on behalf of an organization. If you work on grant applications on behalf of a company, state, local or tribal government, academic institution, or other type of organization, you are not an individual applicant. Individuals do not need a unique entity identifier, UEI. www.grants.gov/help/html/help/index.htm #walls register %f obtain DUNS number.htm to add a profile and submit applications. The system will generate a default value in that field where applicable. With this different eligibility also comes several differences in the user experience with GrantsGov. Since you will be the only person working on the application, you do not need to perform organizational role management functions. The GrantsGov online help frequently refers to the specific roles and access levels throughout the help articles in order to explain who can take which actions when. As an individual applicant, the core actions for applying and submitting applications are the same as performed by organization applicants, but there are minor steps that you will not need to take since you do not apply for grants as a team or manage other users' access to applications. Viewing tutorials in the GrantsGov workspace. The GrantsGov workspace is the standard way for organizations or individuals to apply for federal grants. In GrantsGov, the workspace allows a grant team to simultaneously access and edit different forms within an application. Plus, the forms can be filled out online or offline, your choice. The GrantsGov workspace also allows applicants and organizations to tailor their application workflow. Learn more about how to start working in the workspace under the Applicants tab on the GrantsGov homepage. Figure 5-1 shows the first view of the workspace overview. Source: https://www.grants.gov/web/applicants/workspace-overview.html. Figure 5-1, get started on your workspace application. Accessing application package instructions. All the federal grant application forms you need are available through the GrantsGov website. These easy steps help you find and submit an application, preview and download your grant application package. To download this package, log on to the GrantsGov homepage and click the Applicants tab. At the Apply for Grants link, you need the FON or the Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance, CFDA, number to download your grant application package. Once you are on the Synopsis tab in the DOFO, click Related Documents to see any files available for downloading. There will be a zip file and a separate PDF file. You can access the grant application package forms from the Package tab in the Synopsis to review, fill in, and complete the online application package forms. The mandatory forms can be previewed before you download them from the Package tab. While the forms for each federal funding agency may differ, these are the standard mandatory forms: Application for Federal Assistance, SF 424, Project Abstract Summary, Disclosure of Lobbying Activities, SFLLL, Budget Information for Non-Construction Programs, SF 424A, Budget Narrative Attachment Form, Project Narrative Attachment Form, and Key Contacts. The application package consists of front and back forms required by the grant funding agency. This package, as GrantsGov labels it, doesn't refer to your grant application narrative or mandatory internal attachments or appendixes, but instead, to a series of federal forms to be filled out in the GrantsGov online workspace. 3. Submit the completed grant application. After you enter all the necessary information online and upload all your mandatory internal attachments and narrative documents in the PDF format, you're ready to submit your grant funding request to the GrantsGov workspace. After the submission is complete, a confirmation screen appears with a GrantsGov tracking number at the bottom of the screen, as well as the official date and time of the submission. Record this tracking number so you can refer to it if you need to contact GrantsGov or give it to your congressional officials for tracking your grant application after submission. 4. Track the status of your submitted grant application package. After submitting your grant application, you can check the status by clicking the Track My Application link under the Applicants tab on the GrantsGov homepage. From there, enter your application's tracking number. Your application status can be marked as any of the following: received, GrantsGov has received the application but not yet validated it. Validated, GrantsGov has validated the application, which is now available for the agency to download. Received by the agency, the funding agency has confirmed receipt of the application package. Agency tracking number assigned, the funding agency has assigned the application an internal tracking number. However, keep in mind that not all agencies assign tracking numbers. Rejected with errors. Because of errors, GrantsGov can't process your application. You'll receive information by email on how to address the errors and resubmit the application. You also get email updates from GrantsGov as the status of your application changes. Reviewing some of the mandatory government grant application forms. Each federal agency has its own standard grant application forms and its own guidelines for filling out the forms. Some agencies have fewer than 10 forms, others have more than 20. Underestimating the importance of the mandatory forms and the importance of filling them out properly may result in your grant application being disqualified on a technical error. When filling in any form, always read the instructions that come with the online grant application guidelines first. Look for the checklist provided in every grant application announcement. This checklist tells you what to provide in your application, including mandatory forms, narrative sections, and attachments or appendixes. Most federal grant-making agencies make exceptions to the standard GrantsGov application upload requirement and allow grant applicants to submit a paper application instead, although the agency may require that you request and receive approval to submit a paper application before the submission deadline. The checklist becomes even more important for hard copy submissions, however, because you must assemble the forms, narrative, attachments, and appendixes in a specific order. Otherwise, your application may be rejected on receipt. If you can submit digitally, it is, by far, the best way to know it's over and done with. The paper submission process is cumbersome and a lot more stressful. The cover form is the top page of all federal grant applications. It's what the feds see when they open your application package. For years, the application cover form has been known as the Application for Federal Assistance Cover Form. The current cover form, SF 424, is 5 pages when printed out. It has 21 sections that cover the basic who, what, when, where, and why of your project and agency, with instructions for responding to each field, and ends with a federal debt delinquency explanation page. I tell you everything you need to know about filling out the SF 424 in Chapter 5. The following sections provide an overview of the rest of the most common federal grant application forms, budget forms, assurance forms, and lobbying disclosure forms. Many state funding agencies use similar forms. The required forms are listed in the grant guidelines for each funding competition. These forms are listed in the order in which you're most likely to see them in grant application guidelines. Budget information forms. One form you have to fill out is a 3-page, 6-section set of federal budget forms often referred to as SF 424A, non-constructions programs, and SF 424C, Constructions Programs. You can download these forms at Grants.gov Web Grants Forms HTML. The 6 sections of this non-constructions programs budget information form set are labeled sections A through F. Section A is where you lay out your budget summary, your federal grant request and your non-federal matching monies. Make sure the totals in your budget worksheet and budget narrative match the total in your SF 424A or C. Section B is for detailing the budget categories line item by line item. When you get to Section B, you especially want to have read the instructions for these forms, because each agency differs in how it wants you to fill in the columns for multi-year federal funding requests. Section C is where you list the source of your non-federal monies, called non-federal resources. Section D asks you to forecast your first-year grant funding needs, referred to as forecasted cash needs. Section E is where you tell the federal government the total amount of grant funds needed in the 2nd through 5th years of your project. However, fill in this section only if the grant award is for multiple years. Section F is where you explain any amounts requested in the federal portion of your budget that are unusual or unclear to someone, such as a federal grant reader peer reviewer, outside your agency. In this section, you also explain your already negotiated indirect cost rate. Contact the Office of Management and Budget, www.whitehouse.gov/OM, to start this lengthy process well before you plan to apply for federal grant funding. Finally, Section F is also where you can add any other explanations or comments to explain your rather large or mysterious budget. Chapter 18 gives you greater insight into the budget line item preparation process. Assurances forms. The federal government wants assurances that your organization, the grant applicant, can meet all governmental funding expectations. And it gets these assurances from SF 424B, non-construction programs, and SF 424C, construction programs. This online form lets you add your electronic signature and submit out. If you have questions regarding this form, contact the awarding agency. Also, note that some federal awarding agencies may require you to certify 2 additional assurances. If that's the case, they'll let you know how to proceed. The assurances cover your legal authority to, among other things, apply for grants, address your commitment to record keeping, provide safeguards for conflict of interests, protect the meeting time frame established in your grant application, comply with multiple federal laws regarding fairness and equity for program staff and participants. By signing the assurances and other required forms, you are conveying to the government funding agency that your organization will comply with all applicable requirements of all other federal laws, executive orders, regulations, and policies governing this program. Disclosure of Lobbying Activity Form, SFLLL. If you hired a lobbyist to make sure more federal or state dollars come your way, you must fill out the Disclosure of Lobbying Activities Form, or SFLLL. Read the funding agency's guidelines though, because often this form is optional. A lobbyist is an individual or a firm that spends a lot of time on Capitol Hill or at your state capitol schmoozing with elected officials. Lobbyists work for for-profit and non-profit agencies. They're on a paid mission to convince legislators to vote one way or another to benefit their client agencies. Lobbyists apply a lot of pressure, and a lot of money flows as a result. If you're looking for any other federal grant application forms, this is the website to find them, www.grants.gov/web/grants/forms/SF-424-mandatory-family.html. Checking out other grant portals for federal grant-making agencies. Some federal agencies have their own e-grant upload portals separate from Grants.gov. The process varies from agency to agency, so read the grant application guidelines carefully to look for the submission process. Here are a few examples. Department of Justice, DOJ. Although you generally submit competitive discretionary grant applications through Grants.gov, you must submit formula grants, congressional earmarks, and continuation grants through DOJ's Office of Justice Programs Grants Management System, GMS, called Just Grants. For detailed instructions and tips on applying through GMS, refer to the GMS online training tool at https://justicegrants.usdoj.gov/about. National Science Foundation, NSF. To apply for a grant from the NSF, you must register with FastLane, a portal that allows individuals and organizations to interact directly with the NSF regarding proposals, funding awards, and more. Fastlane is available from the NSF homepage at www.nsf.gov or directly at www.fastlane.nsf.gov. Fastlane can be tricky for new users. Make sure to spend time learning how to use the system before your grant application is due. Department of Health and Human Services, the Office of Extramural Research requires grant applicants to register with the ERA systems in their Assist system. This system can facilitate preparing and submitting grant applications to this agency. To learn more about the ERA systems, visit their portal at https://era.net.gov/applicants.